Hey, my name's Jake James. I am an abstract artist. I've been doing it for about a year, full time now.
When did you get started on your art?
So I've kind of been creative for like my whole life, but I've never had, I suppose, like a good avenue of like releasing it. So I've tried music, I've tried making videos, which I did for about 5 years, and then in August last year, first thing, my housemate Owen, he paints a lot, so I just started practicing, painting when he was painting. And then secondly, my girlfriend's mum, like same sort of thing, like I got home and she just had like a lot of paints there, and I just had a crack one time, and I found that I could do it. I've always drawn and always messed around with it, but I found like towards late last year, like for whatever reason, I'd
Getting into painting.
I'd gotten into painting and like subconsciously, I suppose, like developed a style.
Yeah.
And then I found it easy to share my work. So, and for whatever reason, like I could feel like I could express myself through it. So I just rolled with it and went with it.
And how would you describe your style of artwork?
Okay, broad spectrum abstract.
Yeah.
But within that, quite messy, quite chaotic.
Yeah.
Very vibrant, and I like a lot of contrast. I think a lot of people like have this idea of art as being like a tortured artist, let's say. And everyone has to be sad and like trying to try to understand their feelings.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of want it to be like poppin'.
Yeah.
And I want it to be fun, and I want it to be like exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of bright colours and a lot of vibrant.
And how do you think other people would describe your work?
Hopefully the same way. I think people would kind of consider it to be pretty chaotic, and like hopefully bold. Like I like the idea of like really crazy brush strokes and stuff like that, and not so structured. Because I find a lot of people who do have like use bright colours, it'll be really clean, which is cool. But like I actually I haven't seen too many other artists who are doing like really bright, popping off colours that are quite messy.
Yeah. Who do you think your biggest influences would be on your artistic style?
My biggest would be for sure would be this guy called Rob Moore. So he is like a friend of my parents, and like I grew up with his art all throughout my house. So I think subconsciously that definitely had an effect on me, and like it taught me that it's okay to have messy strokes, or like it's okay to have imperfections and it can still look good. So I think a lot of people get caught up in this idea that everything has to be so neat and so precise, whereas his stuff is like crazy. It's like really just all over the shop. That's actually one of his pieces over there, that red belly black snake one, which is probably my favourite. There's other people who've sort of come into the fray, but for different reasons,
Yeah.
Like, so there's certain artists who I like because of like their colour compositions, which are more similar to mine. Like Rob's are very earthy. Like there are a lot of browns, a lot of dark blues and stuff like that, and that's not really me. Like I'm
more vibrant.
Yeah, a lot more vibrant. So I look for other colours other artists, who use prime colours and like bouncing off each other really well, and like different variations of yellow or different variations of red.
Yeah. Have you ever done any works that have just been like, I don't know, one or two colours? Really simple?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm starting to so at the moment I'm doing a series on blue paintings. So it's like a lot of them are
like that one.
Yeah, like that one over there. So a lot of them are still kind of like this. They've got like a fair bit going on, but I'm trying to sort of trim it back sometimes and make like what I'm calling like palette cleansers, because I think they are oftentimes really hectic. So you need something just to chill out a little bit, even just for like my own sanity. So I do try a little bit to do like just 3 colours or 2 colours.
Yeah.
But it's not supernatural to me. So it's good. It's a good way of practicing, but I'm not there where I want to be with the 2 tones or whatever.
Yeah. What do you believe makes a strong, impactful leader in the creative field?
In the creative field, it's a big question.
I know. So like, I don't know, your friend Rob.
Yeah. Yeah,
Would you-
I think you have to choose which direction you want to go as an artist to an extent.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like one of the big things about art for me is you have to create something that asks questions. Like it's not trying to answer questions; it's trying to ask questions. So that's why
Yeah.
you see like a lot of people, you know, with like a political spin or like a, you know, like especially like we've seen like the Black Lives Matter and stuff, or religion, or like
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. You see like a lot of, you know, black artists who are making like work which like highlights like the struggles of, you know, black people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. So I think that's sort of, you know, one of the things which can create leadership through art.
Yeah. For sure.
Secondly, I think anyone who's doing anything new, you know, anything which hasn't been done before, which like a classic example would be Basquiat, like in the sense like he created basically childish art, and since then you've got like you know, it made it mainstream in the sense like it's okay not to be doing like super detailed stuff all the time. You can just like,
Yeah.
you know, just draw like a squiggle or whatever, and you know, have like a little spin on it, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
I think that's another sense of leadership, but that's less conscious. That's just more through style.
Yeah.
I think, because art, especially like the visual form, is very much like the artist who creates the picture,
Yeah.
which then gets viewed by the viewer.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like a single channel. I think in other mediums, there's a bit more room for growth in terms of being a leader.
Yeah. That's true.
Especially considering, it's just one person. Whereas, let's say, like I did film for 5 years, like that is a whole team which
Yeah.
has to come to get together to create like a movie or a documentary or whatever.
Yeah.
That has more hands-on leadership. Like a singular artist, you're just one guy generally.
Yeah.
You know, obviously with big installations and stuff, and there's teams and there's art galleries and stuff and all that. That needs a little bit more. But for like a base level, it's just one person making one thing for one person to enjoy.
And what inspires you to create?
At the moment, I think for me, like I'm still kind of figuring out who I am as an artist. So it's a lot of self-expression, if not, it's a lot of like self-expression,
Yeah.
I suppose, and figuring out what it is, for me, and like who I want to be. So that's my first inspiration. Secondly, and I find this actually quite rare, I really love commission jobs.
Yeah.
Like a lot of artists don't, because they feel like it, I suppose,
Takes the fun out of it. or
it
something.
takes the fun out of it and like impacts like their own style and like
Yeah.
forces them to go down like a certain direction. Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. Like I'll kind of use it to explore new avenues, and I think my favourite part about it is like I get to really think about that person, what their style is,
Yeah.
and how I can make something awesome for them, which they're gonna love.
Yeah.
And that gives me a lot of joy. So that's another huge, I suppose, reason why I create. You know,
Yeah.
so if I can create something that's gonna like tell a story and live on their wall and they're gonna love it,
Yeah.
that's
It's
awesome.
pretty nice.
That's super nice feeling.
Like your friend's one.
Yeah, you know, and I've got no doubt he's going to love it. You know, this one it's funny because usually it's for the person. This one's a birthday present, so he's not allowed to see it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit funny because usually I have a lot more communication. And I suppose the last one is like as an artist, you do actually have a voice.
Yeah.
You know, like so. You can use that voice for however you want, you know. And this is like through like power of Instagram or just like through your works themselves or whatever. I like telling stories through my art. That's kind of where I'm at. And so
Yeah.
far, like I haven't had anything where it's like really like I haven't had too much like trauma or turmoil. So I haven't really had to make anything like super powerful yet. But I do like telling fun stories and like making people laugh through art, and like having jokes involved, and like keeping it quite light-hearted, and I think that's really fun as well. So it's another one, like
Yeah.
using your voice to tell a story and create a narrative.
Yeah. Would there be any of your works that are like a bit more traumatic?
So at the moment, like this Blue series that I'm doing is called Blue Year, and basically the rationale behind it is like the colour blue is seen as like something which is tranquil,
Yeah.
and chill, but it's also like a colour which can be used for sadness. You know, so I'm kind of taking that idea of like, and then contrasting it with really quite intense situations.
Yeah.
So at the moment, but they're all made up. You know,
Like
so
what sort
it's
of
like
situations?
I've got like a bank robbery one.
Oh, yeah.
I've got one on COVID. I've done a couple on COVID actually, but
Yeah.
you know, everyone is.
No running.
Yeah, I've got one on COVID, but it's like that one I've sold, but it's like it's fine. It's like that one's like the COVID Olympics, you know, and like
Yeah.
who's won? It's like Chinese winning, like. But the winner is like my drug dealer, you know, like, you know, getting all my money, I'm just chilling at home doing nothing, like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So I'm like trying to keep it lighthearted and like a little, like it's not super political. Like I'm not kind of, you know, seeing what Trump or what ScoMo has done
Yeah.
and being like that's wrong or that's right
Right.
or whatever. Secondly, my first series I ever did was when
Yeah.
I was in New York, and that one was I did a series of 10 paintings based on gentrification in New York. Before the whole COVID thing, everyone, the only thing that they'll talk about is New York is becoming gentrified. Brooklyn is becoming gentrified. Everyone has to move to this suburb now, you know,
Right.
and there's examples of it everywhere. I wasn't saying it was a good or a bad thing. I was just seeing what I was seeing in the street and
Yeah.
then
And creating.
creating it. My next series, which I haven't started, but it's just like going on,
Yeah.
is going to be on Australian crimes throughout
Oh.
history. So I've got this book called like Ganglands, which I've been like reading,
Yeah.
which is like which I kind of resonate with. It's funny because the first like I knew that my great grandfather was a criminal.
Yeah.
In this book, it's got him in it.
No way.
First armed robbery in Australia.
Yeah.
So basically, they all, he and a crew of them got on a rowboat, went onto a sailboat, which was, you know, destined to go back to England with a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so obviously, like they've made the money in Australia, taking it back to the motherland.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time robbery. Basically, they locked everyone up,
Wow.
locked them all up inside the boat. Like no fatalities or anything, but they had guns, and then yeah, took all the money and. And then I got caught a bit later.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the inspiration for the next one. So I've got a couple of canvases and stuff which I'm preparing for it, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to start until like the idea is not fully formed.
What was the very first artwork you created? Very first
Okay.
one.
The very first. So okay, there's kind of like two stages. I feel
Okay.
like as a kid did it heaps, like a lot, and there's lots of. Like, apparently, because I grew up in Indonesia and it's like what I did was as a kid. So apparently there was like, it's like 2,000 of them or something.
Oh wow. Same
Yeah,
sort of
it's
style? Have you
No,
kept
more
the
like
same?
superheroes and stuff, you know? Like, or like there's, I don't know where they all live anymore. Like, I think
Yeah.
my mum's got them or something, but like, they still live in a box. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's about 2,000 of these like kind of like figures doing stuff.
It's cool.
Still cartoony and whatever. Like I've drawn like dogs and like just like little. I like animals and humans.
Yeah.
Well, I've always liked animals and humans, like in everything creative. So
Yeah.
more so with landscapes, whatever. So is that, but just at a very kiddie level.
Yeah.
And then did it in school. Hated it. That kind of turned me off art for about 10 years.
Wow.
I did a couple just with Owen, which were pretty like art, you know. Like there's one downstairs I can show you.
Yeah.
And then, but the first one that I kind of like decided I wanted to pursue it
Yeah.
was a painting I did at, you know, I was saying before that my girlfriend's mum had arts there, so she had like a square canvas, like 1 meter by 1
Oh
meter.
yeah. You're playing
I
around.
started playing around in that, and I created it was called Blue Apple Trees, and it was like a landscape
Yeah.
with a river, like made up landscape with a river,
Yeah.
and had an Aboriginal guy with a dog on it.
Yeah.
So it had like a fire like looming in the background, stormy weather,
Yeah.
a bunch of blue apple trees, the guy fishing.
Yeah.
And that was it's actually I look at it all the time. It's so different to what I'm currently doing that my style wasn't developed at all.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I look at it, I'm like I can see why I got into it by looking at that painting, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's got something.
Do you ever look at it though and think I could have done that different?
Not really.
That's good.
No, I don't have that with any of my art, to be honest.
That's
Yeah, like I kind of have the mentality that whatever was done at that time for a reason, and I kind of know it's done.
Yeah.
You know, it's very rare that I'll go back on a piece from 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever and change it.
Yeah.
It's
that's
only
good.
happened once, I think. Once
Yeah.
or twice.
Yeah.
Most part, I know when it's done. Like I just know. Like, I kind of like I'll do it, and I'll be like, that was the last stroke.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's paintings which I look at now, like from like for example, like the other day I was at my friend's place, the farm, and he bought two. He was the first person to ever buy them, so he bought two, which are both good ones. I look at them now, and they're cool, but like there's like little elements to them, like they work, but like there's I'm a better artist now.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, you see it.
if I was to do it, like just the I don't know. I suppose just like the paint strokes or whatever, it's a little not as good as I can do these days.
Yeah. But that's just skill.
That's
hey?
just skill
That's
coming
just
through
skill,
it, yeah. It's just also like, you know, obviously with every new painting I try to learn something new, so it's like I can just grab more and I can like I can look at like a section and like you know, back then I might have only had 3 techniques I could use, now I've probably got 30.
Yeah. The messages in your artworks, has it changed over time? Or?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I'm very hypersensitive to my surroundings. You know, like
Where you're living, or?
where I'm living, for sure. Like I
Yeah.
find like the works I produced in America were different to the ones I did in London, which are different to the ones I did in Indonesia, which are different to the ones I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And even to the extent like the ones when I was living at the farm are different to the ones that I'm doing when I'm living at the beach.
Yeah.
You know, and it's small differences where I can see it quite clearly. Maybe somebody else can't, but for me, I'm like I can
You can tell.
I can really tell. Yeah, you know, just by looking at it, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah, so I think they definitely change. And I think they also evolve a lot with, what's going on in the world around me. I
Yeah.
think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
At the start of COVID, I was making paintings in respects to, like, let's say like that one over there, like that's all.
The
It's like
aeroplane.
the things I'd buy in airports. It was like me being
Oh, yeah.
sad because I'm like, I'm not in airports anymore, you know.
Do you miss airports?
Miss airports. They're a
Really?
huge part of my life. Like
Oh,
last
very
year,
good.
I was at the airport once a week, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like I
What was
just-
your favourite things to buy at the airport?
Books. I got all my books from airports.
Yeah.
For sure.
What would be the biggest risk you've taken with your works?
First biggest risk I took was in New York.
Yeah.
So I decided that I'm going to back myself in the sense that the works I create in New York are going to pay for my life in New York,
Yeah.
which
And did they?
they did. Yeah. It was awesome. Like I was living there and I had like $2,000 or $3,000, something, which was like okay. Like I wasn't struggling at the time, but like
Yeah.
I was getting into debt, and then I created like this series, and I was just kind of like backing myself. I was like, I'd do like $400 for each one.
Yeah.
This will pay off my trip, and then I just backed it. Got like this guy from London who I met, was like, I really love him. Like,
Yeah.
I want to buy some. If you can commit right now to buying like 5 of them,
Yeah.
that will allow me to book a flight to London, sell them to you with the paintings, and then go from there. And that will at least pay off like 60% of the trip. And then when I was in London, I sold the rest of them.
Yeah.
So that was a big risk,
Yeah.
like in terms of just like my life. In terms of creative risk, I'd say commission jobs. They're the biggest creative risk because somebody's already committed to purchasing something which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
For me, that's a huge risk, which is also why I kind of love doing them because like
Yeah.
it forces me to make something which I think is dope.
Yeah.
You know, like with anyone doing creative things, some of the stuff you create isn't that good.
Yeah.
You know, it's not up to standard, it's not up to scratch, and you live and you learn and you move forward. But
Yeah.
with something which has already been purchased before it's been created,
Yeah.
it has to be really good.
Yeah.
You know, like it has to be really good. So that's creatively that's my biggest risk. Like this one here, like I struggled with at the start, so it was completely different.
Yeah.
Like completely different. It was like this giant like landscape with like with nighttime with the ocean and like some surfers and stuff in there. So you can see I've kind of like left elements. I've left the water and the sky from the last
Yeah.
painting, and the rest of it's all pretty much new. From what was something massive, this huge landscape, which was like a finished painting effectively.
Really?
Like I figured like it was good, it was okay.
Yeah.
I didn't love it,
Yeah.
I prefer to make something like awesome than settle for good
Yeah.
when it comes to a commission. Whereas if it was just for me, I would have left it.
Have there ever been pieces where you've just like had to start all over again? Like not like this one where you've painted over and added to it, like any that you've just...
Nah, I like even if I hate it, I like to incorporate something from the other painting because it's like telling the story of the painting, you know.
Yeah.
Like I can't just. I'm not going to just kill the whole thing. Yeah, it's like you got to give a little bit of respect to your old ideas.
Yeah.
Yes, even if it's just that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are some practices that you do to ensure you stay motivated and focused when creating?
Okay. I give myself days off.
Really?
You know, that's
like it's a job.
Yeah, like I treat it like a job actually.
Yeah.
So I have days where I'm not going to paint today. Maybe I'll go to Bunnings or I'll go to an op shop.
And
Like,
get more canvases.
get more canvases and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I'm loving my art right now because I love it because it is so free and so fun.
Yeah.
And I think going into like a high pressure gallery situation,
Yeah.
where there's people who are going to be judging you. There's like an onus to sell X amount. You know, like all of a sudden it becomes like a little bit of a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with, and I understand it's part of the trade. It's part of any trade. Like it's going to happen at some stage.
Yeah.
But I'm in no rush. Like I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see where my room to grow is.
Yeah.
And right now I don't know if that's the right way to go. I think if I was to be doing exhibitions, I'd be running my own parties.
Yeah.
And I'd be like doing event spaces and like collaborating with other like, you know, like performative artists and musicians and stuff like that, and actually making like a really dope show as opposed to just a white wall gallery where people go in there and be like, oh, you know,
walk out.
like and walk out, like have the free shitty bottle of champagne and bail. Like when you move from like being established, from emerging to established, that has to happen. That is just part of what being an artist is. You have to go into those, you know, it's like if you want to be like internationally recognised and you want people to start collecting and stuff like that, that has to happen. Yeah. So who knows, maybe if I did go down that avenue, you never know what would happen. Maybe that could actually become like a new thing, and then that could inform other people and start representing other artists or something like that, and doing like the whole gallery thing in a completely different way.
And what about in the next year or so? I know that like COVID and everything, but where do you see yourself going with all your works?
I think in the next 5 years or so, actually.
Okay.
I'm just going to be still practicing on my style.
Okay.
Honestly,
Is it still developing?
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
I think it's good, but
I think so too. I think it's really good, but I don't have a set style yet. Like I'm getting there, and I can feel myself getting there, and I'm like learning new tricks and stuff. But my primary focus is just focusing on style and you know, figuring out what works best for me.
Yeah.
Focus. In terms of the other stuff, I would love to have a show.
Yeah.
I think if the COVID stuff does finish off, I will, you know, find like a warehouse or like something like a bit off the beaten track. You know, I want to do something which hasn't been done before. Overall focus is to develop style and just learn more. Good. Like I'm still so new.
Yeah,
you know,
with your skills and stuff.
Yeah, and like everything, like it's like I have never done art school. There's so much I don't understand. Yeah. And just learn. So that's my problem.
That's a good thing though.
Yeah, for sure. Good. It's like I'm kind of like considering, it's like for everything else, like, you know, you have a degree. Yeah. And it's like, so I'm kind of taking that mentality, like, you like focus on this next, you know, until like like at the moment, like it doesn't matter too much. Like, I don't need like a whole lot of money to survive. No. Like it's just like I don't have any dependents or anything. So it's just like use this time where it's pretty relaxed to focus on upskilling.
On the days where you're not creating, how do you spend your time other than going to Bunnings and?
Well, live at the beach, so I'm at the beach every day. Yeah. But again, I kind of will create every day. In some form. But like, you know, I'm trying to do 5 days a week where I'm like, dedicating 8 hours to it,
Yeah.
like a full-time job. And my work, which is like all the Indonesia hostel stuff, that's pretty much dried up. So like ordinarily, like I would have been doing that, and like art would have been the side hustle.
What were you doing there? You were in
I
Indonesia
run a
doing.
hostel in Indonesia, so that's like my job for the last year.
Oh,
So that was what I was meant to be doing this year as well. Like,
Yeah.
that's going to be my primary career. So I see that as my primary career and art as secondary career, and I think I
Okay.
can make them both work.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. And that also I think gives a lot of freedom. I think a lot of people who struggle against the tortured artist thing, where like they try to turn art into their primary source of income,
Yeah.
which is awesome, which is like what I'm doing right now, which is like a great feeling. But it's like unfortunate in the sense that I don't have to rely on that. Like I've got
Yeah.
my job. You
Yeah.
know, for when it comes back on, I've got my job and that is the money maker. And this is just a form of expression. Whereas if it does take off, which I hope it does,
Yeah.
and like I want it to, then that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Do you feel like the artists that have
But-
got that as their one job?
I think it creates pressure. I think a lot of people struggle under pressure, especially with something as fluid as creating.
Yeah.
You know, I think you have to kind of get yourself into like a mind state if you're worried like, oh, like how am I going to pay rent? Like I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like it can create beautiful, amazing art, but it can also just fuck you up.
Yeah.
So I think having it as a secondary, for me at least, is really important. I'm okay with pressure in life, but like I want that for my job.
Yeah.
Not for my this is a passion which I'd love to turn into
Yeah.
like into like a revenue. That would be the best.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it just being a passion if that's what happens in the end. That's